Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific North, fresh from the good to the bad to the
The
Mariners.
sweet, sweet Mariners, baby.
For 2 strong weeks, they find themselves in second place in division, only a game back of Texas with a tiebreaker over them.
Yep.
So another good week for the Mariners on the road this time, which was not the case on their last short roadie. But before we dive into that, I want to tell you a little bit about us. If you're looking for a guy that can start this show off with a bang, just like my boy Dylan Moore hitting leadoff dingers all whole week, baby. You're looking for a guy like me, your boy Coach Red. Find me on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, and leave a comment or two. And if you're looking for a guy that to increase the level that he does on this podcast, I'm debating shipping him to Canada so he can just mash stuff out on this podcast like Rowdy Telez. It's
Oh,
Kane.
wow. That's tough because you should have compared me to Cal on that one.
Nope. Rowdy Telez, that's why I'm shipping you to Canada
Wow.
because he's a beast above the border. It's
That's
Kane.
I'm just above the border. We'll get to that later. Yeah, I'm Kane. You can find me over on Twitter, Kane2406, TikTok, and Twitch, Kane0624. Also, follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Pause, pause, pause. Do it, freaking do it.
Before we dive in too deep, lucky you guys, double episode drop tonight. We've got NFL draft coming up. We've got a mock draft episode, both getting released tonight. Tune into both of them, like them both. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. But enough of that. Let's get right back in to the Mariners. Mariners 4-2 on the week. 2 wins against both the Reds and the Blue Jays. Happened to lose the series opener in both. And when we get to picks to click, boy, did mine get decimated this week. I'm already going to give Kane the dub. I don't even care who he picked because my guys
Bro,
were
we
floundering.
doubled down this week, and oh boy, did it not uh disappoint.
So week starts out with Luis Castillo going good until he wasn't.
And
And
that's kind of been the story of Luis this whole year.
this week, it's not necessarily been the year. He's been pretty solid prior to this week. This week was he was going good until he wasn't.
Yeah.
Mariners come back, bounce back. Bryce Miller, limited innings. Pitch count was relatively low, but was experienced a little soreness. So shorten him up. Mariners give up some runs, but hold on to win 5-3. Then they win in extras in 10 and go absolute wild, wacky game in an
Yeah.
11-7 win. I think Jake, who rakes Fraley,
Yeah.
hit a grand slam
Jake
to
from
put
Rake
the
Farm.
Reds up. Cal and Randy go back to back jacks to put it into extras, and the Mariners put the cherry on top and walk out with the win on their way out of town. Then you go to Toronto. It's pretty sluggish of a first game. A few base running blunders throughout that game.
Yeah.
3-1
Not
loss.
fun.
It
Not
was a
fun to
weird
watch
game.
it
That one especially because it's not
because it
like the
was on Apple
Mariners
TV.
played bad enough that you want to just sit there and complain about them, but they didn't play good enough that you wanted to talk about them either. It was just like a meh game overall
Yeah, and
for
it was
them.
like they really shot themselves in the foot Friday night. I mean, the two base running errors, egregious, egregious.
There was three.
Oh, because wasn't Telez one of them too?
Yeah, he got gunned out at third on a ball to medium right field.
Try to do a triple again.
He was at second base, tagging
Uh,
up.
I
Ball
see.
hit.
I only caught a little bit of it.
He
So
was hosed. But you turn that around and you go into Saturday's game, and Extra innings again, and the Mariners prevail again thanks to Rowdy Tellez hitting a grand slam. Oh, the run on Friday was a solo shot from Rowdy
That
Tellez.
he absolutely pissed on.
And then yesterday, get out of town with the series win, 8-3, and Rowdy Tellez pinch hit two
Homered
run homer.
3 times this weekend. He was a what a
Beast above the border.
was he a 3-run homer away from a cycle on the weekend for homers?
That would be correct.
I mean, yeah, he went nuclear against his former team. A little revenge game, I guess one would say, or series. It was fun.
Yeah, but
Bought
if
him a
you
little bit more time.
for sure. And if you look at the Mariners, I think you said it, they're top 10 in offense right now, and that's turnaround. What you see is 4 runs in the first game against the Red. It's 5 runs, then 11, then 1, then 8, then 8. When they're scoring over 5 runs,
Win games
they're
most
winning
times.
games.
Also, awesome week to be Ben Williamson. Am I right?
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm gonna go into our player breakdowns of the week. Oh shoot, I didn't pick my players of the week. I'll figure it out on the fly. Got a lot of content coming today, a lot of prep
Yeah.
going on in a short period of time. But let's go to our top performers of the week. And I'm also throwing in if they weren't a top performer because they were a pick to click, just for context. Guess we'll start off with AL Player of the Week, Dylan Moore. Dylan Moore,
I mean,
385 on the week, 10 hits, one double, 3 homers, 5 ribbies, and 3 stolen bases. 2 of those homers were to lead off a game,
yep.
and he was absolutely destroying the ball in Cincinnati.
Yes. That's back to back weeks that some of your favorite players have won Player of the Weeks.
Yep, Ty France the week before from Minnesota. Big shout out
Yeah.
to Ty France.
No, Demo was on something else this week, and oh boy, was it needed. It kind of everything got a clip because you had multiple guys go on heaters this week, and it was all at the same time. So it was a lot of run producing, and just Demo was smooth with it this week. The swing was level, the power was there. I mean, what the ball he hit out to deep center, it just looked like a any swing that he normally took. I mean, he crushed that thing almost farther than he crushed the grand slam against the Astros, and he picked that thing.
Well, and here's the crazy thing. We talk about how the Mariners are doing so well offensively, but
Yeah,
they're still striking out at a fairly decent clip. And the batting averages aren't necessarily high, but they're
they're
showing up in
walking a lot.
clutch moments a lot more than
Yeah,
they have earlier in the season. When we talk about this breakdown, I excluded Leo Rivas. He did get some play, but he only had 7 total at bats. My cutoff is 10. So when you really look at the squad, they only had 2 guys this entire week that had batting averages above 300. So it's not like they're sitting there just getting on base left and right. It's definitely something that they're running into pitches at the right time. Right. Next guy, JP Crawford, a guy that we've been needing to get a little bit of a bounce back week, and he did that. Finally got his first day off yesterday, but on the week, had 333, 6 hits, one double, 3 ribbies,
and how many walks did he have? A lot.
two.
I mean, the
He
dude,
had two.
like his OPS is off the charts right now
His
because he's also
OPS, his
walking a
OPS
lot.
is about 400.
Yeah, and that's good for him. Like the dude's been walking a lot. As I said last week, when JP is swinging the bat, it adds a little bit more juice, right? And it's not like these dink little hits that he was getting. He's putting a good barrel on the ball now. I mean, it's something that he needed to do, especially coming out of the 9 spot. This is the JP we needed.
All right, going on to our next player. It's Randy Arozarena. Batted 280 on the week, 7 hits, 2 doubles, 1 home run, 7 ribbies, and 3 stolen bases. Randy is just an RBI monster right now. That's
He's an
every
enigma.
week in, week out. He's just driving people in.
Yeah.
We might want to call him the school bus driver. Driving people in, baby. Maybe we'll call him Lyft or Uber.
I mean, Rady is such a unique person because he can have one at bat that looks like he was thrown in a blender, and the next at bat is one of the most professional at bats you've ever seen. I can say when he's seeing the ball, I don't think there's a scarier hitter in baseball than Randy, just because of the sheer like look at him in the entirety of the postseason, right? Like that's a Randy Rosarena you don't want to throw to, and she showed up multiple times, right? But it's just that switch that he can flip, which has allowed him to, I think, have the most RBIs on the team, right? So one thing I need with Randy is just a better hacks in the zone, not flailing at stuff 2 feet off the plate.
That'll happen sometimes. Next guy, briefly touched on him during the intros, is Rowdy Tellez. Batted 267 on the week, 4 hits. 3 of those hits were home runs, 7 RBIs, all via the long ball. And that's all I have to say about Rowdy. And I do have to say one thing about Rowdy, and it's going to be
Okay.
about his defense. And he got trucked at first base, and the guy just bounced off of him like it was nothing. And he made an okay play at first base.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just need Angie Mentic to just not talk. Like she was beat
Yes.
like, oh, Rowdy's excellent defense. Rowdy outside of Jorge Polanco at third base has been your worst defender. So
Yeah.
to praise his defense, like it has been a saving grace.
Yeah.
No,
I hope she's
knock it
out of
off.
the. I don't want her in the booth next series.
So next person, we'll just leave it on that.
Sure.
Sorry, Angie. It's Cal Raleigh batted 259 on the week, 7 hits, 1 double, 4 homers, 7 ribbies, and another stolen base.
And also career number 100.
Career number 100. He's at 9 so far in the month of April. He's never had double digit home runs in a month before, and we've got opportunities for it to happen. And Cal Raleigh, although he does still have that swing and miss, he is lasering balls. His approach at the plate is so money right now. And defensively, he's still doing what Cal does back there. Platinum glove worthy defense.
Yeah. There's just too many good things to say about Cal. I mean, he was on a heater this week. I mean, it's been 2 straight weeks of him just kind of going on a tear. What was it? 6 home runs, 7 home runs in 8 games,
Yeah,
something like that.
he's been blasting the ball. I think that he's had all of these have come in like a week and a half.
Yeah,
So
he's tied for the MLB lead, and he's tied with
Tyler
Soderstrom from the
Strohstrom.
A's for the lead in home runs. So
Yep,
that's
he's
fun.
killing it.
That's very fun.
Next guy we're going to talk about, numbers weren't spectacular, but I think we got to talk about it's Ben Williamson. Talked about his call up in his first plate appearance. He ropes a single. He ends the week 217, 5 hits, 1 double, 1 home run,
They absolutely crushed.
and 2 ribbies. Ben Williamson has been in the minors. This would have been the third year because he started. This is his third professional season. In the 2 previous seasons, he's hit a grand total of 3 home runs. So don't expect the power to be part of his game, but what you can't expect is the defense. I think there was one hot shot that took a weird hop that kind of ate him up. But I think the play of the weekend was, I
116
think it
off of
was
Vlad's bat. Yeah.
Vladdy 120 off the bat where he just stings it, stops it, pops up, and throws Vladdy out by a third of the
Uh,
baseline.
I'll tell you, it's fun watching a third baseman feel the ball and throw it on a line to first and not have a stupid bounce that I mean Rowdy Tellez has picked some balls pretty cleanly. He
Okay.
has. He has. But it's also
Okay.
like, stop throwing the balls in the dirt.
Welcome to today's MLB. It's all about time. If you've got to do that, it's a bigger opportunity for error, whatever. But the one thing I will say that I also liked about Ben is he did have his fair amount of strikeouts over the week, which you'd expect coming up and facing major league hitting. But a lot of those at bats were extended. He was driving up pitch counts. You would see him even in those strikeout at bats. He's consistently seeing 5 to 10 pitches within that realm. It's not just one, two, three.
And it's like he's gotten a hit in every single game that he started.
Yeah.
That's
I
that's
think that he
cool.
might have had one game that he was hitless, but you
It's
saw it
looked
where
pretty
there was a
decent.
righty on the bump, and you were wondering if Master Boney, who had a pretty big week last week, was going to get the start, and he was still out there. He did some good things for you, right? And I
Mhm.
think his overall defense is going to continue to get him playing time, and I think if he keeps extending at bats and can see that on base percentage tick up a little bit more, get used to seeing Ben Williamson at third base for a while.
Been fun watching him. It's
Yeah.
been fun.
Leads to the not fun part. My player picked to click. Julio Rodriguez had a 130 batting average on the week, 3 hits, one double, 0 RBIs. He did, he played in every game this week, had a day off that he ended up becoming in pitch hitting, and he's still getting on base. He's still getting his walks, but
It just
especially if he's going to be your leadoff hitter against righties, like you're going to need to see that uptick. You need to see him on base more. You need to see him scoring more runs. And it was a rougher week for Julio. He did put a good couple of charges into balls that, just didn't find grass. And that's the game of baseball. That's why we don't look at the season in, well, we do in 1 week increments, but that's not how you gauge the success. This is 162 games. You're going to see the ups and downs. And, Dylan Moore is not going to bat 385 every week. I'm just going to say it. It's not going to happen. But um, overall, good offensive week. And that's what really helped propel them to where they were because Emerson Hancock gets another start and he
solid.
pitched decently,
Four
right?
strikeouts. Love to see that.
So the pitching staff wasn't as dialed in as they were the week before. This was the week for the offense to really carry the torch, and they stepped up to the plate, literally.
Yeah, no, it was a great week for
Want
the
to talk about some
M's.
pitchers?
Sure. Talk about some pitchers.
Let's just talk about the guy who I don't know if he'll ever give up an earned run ever again, and Gabe Spire. Uh,
Yeah.
0 ERA, pitched in 3 games, 2 1/3 inning pitched, and just coming in and locking stuff down. There was, I believe this was yesterday, where he came in and the game was close. Rowdy kind of opened the door a little bit, and it was a low leverage. He wasn't as crisp as he had been, but I think when the leverage turns off with some of those elite guys we've talked about in the past with Paul Sewald when he was with the Mariners, if it was a low leverage situation, Paul Sewald would get shelled. But when lights were bright and they were on, he was in lockdown mode. But Gabe Spire just showing up and doing big boy things from the left side.
I mean, Dan is managing him very well. He's like, oh, he's get to a righty, take him out,
Yeah.
take him out.
Hey, Miles Straw, look at 3 cheddar cheese balls and go back to the bench.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing is Gabe has been super efficient when he does get into trouble. He's still not giving up runs, and Dan's getting him out of the game, which is something you kind of like to see because he is probably outside of Munoz your best arm in the entire starters in bullpen right now because everybody has been bad at some point this year. Hey, it's not just me. Gabe Spire's been your best pitcher on the year so far. And Mooney's been unreal.
Yeah.
So
Yo, who else was unreal? Legamina, baby. The
Yeah,
beans, man. I can't wait for him to go to Boston and bean out over there. 0 ERA. 4 games that he made appearances in, 4 innings pitched,
looked pretty
one
good.
hit, one walk given up, 3 Ks, and got a dub on the week.
Yeah, he's looked very good. I mean, there were people calling for Legamina to be on the opening day roster
I
because
was
he
kind of
had such a
surprised when he wasn't.
yeah. I mean, he had such a good spring, and I believe that the Reds were just done with him after last year. So good little pickup for the M's. Good project for them to work on. And we've seen these types of players come out and be very successful in the Mariners case. So Legamine has been awesome.
All right. Mooney, we talked about another
Yeah.
0 ERA week. Pitched in 3 games, 3 innings pitched, 1 save, and also got a win in the extra inning game in Cincinnati. Sometimes it's a little bit of an experience with Mooney. It's not the Fernando Rodney experience, but sometimes it ticks your blood pressure up. But more often than not, he's coming in and shutting the door with ease. And to see, like you said, two relievers this far into the season that both are, I think Mooney did give up an earned run, if I'm not mistaken,
I
early in
think
the season,
so.
but
I
they're
think
both
so.
sub 1 ERAs this deep into the season with the amount of innings that they've and appearances they've had. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's something that you needed out of this pick because I'm sorry, the Troy Taylor thing doesn't make sense. And you're waiting for Brash right now.
I think that the Troy Taylor thing, like he wasn't super sharp in his appearance, but
Sure,
I think that he just needed a little bit more time to kind of
sure,
get
and
into
it let
game
you
shape.
bring back up Casey Lawrence, and you know, is what it is. Which Casey Lawrence has looked pretty decent too, at least this week.
Not terrible. All right, let's hop over to the starters. We're going to talk about 3 this week. First one we're going to talk about was the best one, and that is Bryce Miller. 5 innings pitched, 0 ERA, gave up 3 hits, had 8 Ks. Got the win. Oh, sorry, I said Munoz got the win, and then yeah, Miller got a win this week. Looked good. Uh,
Looked really good. I mean, he could look better. Just there's still a lot of miss on the zone from him. Still getting it deep into counts, getting to 3-2 a lot. Um, I just think he's an adjustment away from what we saw in the second half of last year.
he's not too far away though, and I think
No,
that if he can get consistently through the 6th inning and a little bit deeper, that's going to help all sorts of things, putting
yeah,
guys away. And it doesn't always need to be via the strikeout. Let the guys pop it up to
mhm.
straight away right. I don't care. It's an
Yeah,
easy
no.
play.
I just for all the starters, just need to get deeper into games. Let's exclude Brian Wu because he's the only one who's made it 7. I think well Logan's
Let's
done it
talk about
once.
Brian Wu, who's my next guy. He has a 3.86 ERA on the week. He had 7 innings pitched. He gave up 7 hits, 4 Ks, gave up 3 earnings, but he got deep into the game. It
Mhm.
was a game that you needed to get some length, right?
Yeah,
You were coming off of the Cincinnati series where you just went into extras. Bryce Miller did not go deep the day before. You're moving relievers around. You needed to get it. And he kept the Mariners in the game. Throughout that whole time, I thought the Mariners could win that game. They didn't, and it was very anticlimactic. But Brian Wu, if he can continue to get you 6+ innings and give up 3 or less earned runs,
yeah.
you're going to be in a good spot more often than not.
And Toronto was very swing happy.
They were blitzing him.
Dude, they were going after everybody. Like they got after pretty much every pitcher. There was lots of hard contact over the weekend.
Yeah, there's lots of wins for the Mariners in
That's
comparison
true.
to the Blue Jays. All right, let's talk about my other pick to click. Luis Castillo. He had an 8.68 ERA on the week. He had 8 Ks, 6 walks, 9 earnings. 9.9 and a third inning pitched, but he did get a win on the week. One win,
Yeah.
one loss. Got the loss in Cincinnati, got the win against the Blue Jays.
And like you were saying earlier, it's like he's good and then he's not, you know?
He actually, this start was a little bit different because usually when you start, he usually cruises, and then if he gets into a little bit of trouble, it's hard to pump the brakes. And you saw that against Cincinnati. He had runners at second base the first 3 innings early, no outs. And he worked his way and maneuvered his way to get you 5 innings and only give up 3 runs with the amount of traffic they had on the base path.
Yeah.
I'll commend him on that. He got you through. You got the win. A lot of that's on the Mariners because they absolutely blitzed them. 6 runs in
Oh
the
yeah.
first 2 innings. So
Yeah.
that when you put any pitcher in that spot, you're pretty solid, right?
Yeah, and that was my biggest concern yesterday is like you have a 6-run lead. Like good that it was when Castillo was on the mound, right? Because he has been prone to give up at least two or three a game. My biggest thing is, man, he just his pitch mix. He does not throw a lot of changeups anymore. He does not throw his slider very much, and he really just throws his 2 fastballs.
And you got to think that, especially after this week, his next start will be at home, kind of get some
Yeah,
good home cooking. Got the off day today. Um, do not get the travel day midweek, but being able to sit there and reflect on the week, talk with the entire pitching staff, I think will be helpful for Luis. And then getting back at home, he's the only guy with the 2 starts on the road in the same roadie so far, right? We haven't completed the road trip, but with that no rest 6 day stretch, bing bang boom, you got to go. And it didn't go his way 100%, but did enough to get it done. And that kind of wraps up what the hitters did this week. So, Kane, who is your pick to click for the pitching staff over the course of this next week at the Red Sox and back at home versus the Marlins of Miami?
give me Bryce Miller this week. He's got 2 starts. He's got the opener against Brian Bello. And then I believe he's got the middle game. No, he's got the end of the Marlins. So gonna be at home for one, on the road for another. We saw 8 punchies in his last road start. And I imagined him to go into Fenway and kind of take care of business this week. And then it's the Marlins. They're not very good. So give me Bryce Miller this week. Coach Red, who's your pick to click pitcher this week?
I'm going to go with Logan Gilbert. Wasn't as sharp in his start on
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. Gets the start back at home. And when Logan is at home, good things happen. He gets to
Sure.
start off the series. He's going to be amped and ready to roll. So go ahead and give me a guy that has been absolutely dominant at T-Mobile Park against a team that, like you said, isn't the best. So I think that he's going to want to come in and start that homestand hot. And what a better guy to do it, right?
I agree. I agree.
Do you want to throw in a reliever as a tiebreaker?
Give me Carlos Vargas this week.
Okay, I'm a big Gabe Spire, who's yet to give up an earned run on the year.
Sure. Sure. I Carlos Vargas keeps buying him time on this team. And he's looked very good doing it. Dan may not put him in the best situations, but more times than not, his stuff is played. And it's played well. So give me Carlos Vargas this week.
All right, offensive player of the week.
See, this one is tough because I was gonna go with Polo, but then I looked that they face 2 lefties back to back days. And if he can't swing from the right side still, can't really I can't really choose somebody who's not going to play in 2 full days, most likely, unless he's coming in a pitch hit. And plus, the last time you faced one of these pitchers, you struck out a career high against him. So, I think this week you're going to see lefties. So, give me Garber this week. He's also sitting around a 400 OPS. He's drawing his walks. He's going to get some more playing time this week. Also going to be playing the day he catches Castillo. Give me Garver. He's going to heat up this week.
You're going to go player of the week with a bench piece. Okay. Well, if you're doing something crazy, I'm doing something crazy. I'm doubling down on Julio. Can't be worse than last week.
Hey. If it goes back to back weeks like this, we're going to have to throw the ban on you for a little bit. Like you threw the ban on me last year.
Sorry. My namesakes. I can do whatever I want. It's the name of the show. You got to kick it with me. So, no, give me Julio.
He's got to have
back home. I think that getting back home will help, but I think he's going to hit some balls very hard off of the monster in Boston. He's a guy who I did not do the research, but have a good feeling. I feel like he's played pretty well at Fenway in the past. So give me a guy that can go out there, hopefully put a hole through the green monster and kind of get himself right again before getting back home against the Marlins.
To be honest, I wanted a triple down, but I feel like that would have been excessive.
I mean, you could have. I mean, Cal has hit a home run. That was the first place he hit a home run from both sides.
Both sides, yeah. But like, I think Garv's gonna have a good week. He's gonna get at bats, especially depending on how Polo's doing. So, he's gonna get at bats this week.
Yeah, like we said, upcoming series against the Red Sox in Boston. They're coming off of playing the White Sox, so they don't have a day off. They played earlier today against the Chi Sox. So hopefully, with that little bit of rest, the Mariners coming in playing well against the AL East.
Win a road opener. That'd be cool.
I mean, if they can take 2 out of 3 and then do their work at home against the Marlins. But if you tell me that in every 3-game series on the roads, if the Mariners can go 2 and 3, they're going to find themselves not fighting for a wild card, but looking at probably being a 2 seed, maybe even a 1 seed if they can continue to do this. George Kirby is most likely coming back next month. I wouldn't be shocked if Brash is back before the end of the month. I think that as long as they're still winning, they'll probably extend that thing a little bit more. But they're in a decent spot right now. And if they can keep the offense rolling and the pitching staff can keep doing what it has done the last 2 weeks as a whole, you're going to be in a great spot, right?
Rich, we talked about that. You just need your starting staff to go another inning or two because they are overworking this bullpen. Carlos Vargas probably thrown most pitches he's ever thrown so far. like they've not done themselves any favors. I mean, you pitched Casey Lawrence for 3.5 innings this week.
They did.
Like, goddamn, dude. They just got to get a little bit more longevity out of the starters, which I think that once Kirby gets back, you're going to see them all kind of get into a groove again because then it's the 5-headed monster.
Well, and then you're not moving because one thing that we didn't really talk about is Wu was supposed to get the final start in Cincinnati, but they bumped him back. So that way you bring Emerson Hancock back, get a little bit more rest there. Being able to have that true 5-man, every 5th game you were getting the ball. And I think that some guys definitely help from getting the extra day off. Other guys, it's not as good. Right. So being able to have that mentality and know how everything's going to line up, especially with what Hancock did, he didn't get set down. You're going to see him probably make that next start. See how that goes, see if it continues until Kirby is fully healthy. But you're seeing guys starting to settle in a little bit more. You had the Ryan Bliss injury. You had the Victor
Victor
Robles injury.
Robles.
Then you saw Cal get hot. Randy's still driving guys in. Julio getting a little bit better. Luke putting the ball out of the ballpark. Rowdy Tellez finally getting some hits. Donovan Solano a handful. Miles Mastroboni, Ben Williamson. Everyone's kind of pitching in here and there, right? So to keep that on a roll, do it on the road in Boston, where traditionally the Mariners have not played well. If you can come out with 2 wins there, you're running a 667 winning percentage on the roadie against a very talented Red squad, a Toronto Blue Jays team who going into the series was at a winning record and was second in the division. And then you also look at the Red Sox, who are right in the thick of it with the Blue Jays for second in the division. You're playing good teams. And if you can come out winning 67% of your games on the road against that style of teams, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I mean the hitting philosophy is almost coming to fruition, right? They're drawing walks. They're putting better numbers up.
They're hitting
And
the ball to all parts of the field.
yeah, and the walks is key, right? They've been extending at bats, putting more pitches on every arm. And I think like ultimately it's working out for him, right? Rowdy Tellez, when he hit the grand slam, right? The dude kept fouling balls off. And then he threw him a 93-mile-an-hour fastball in on the hands, and he turned and popped it. Like, that is what this team has been doing, and they've been exceptionally well at it. I mean, you touched on it with Ben Williamson earlier, right? Extending at bats and having positive results from it instead of watching a flail from Julio.
Well, I'm glad you finally started listening to me. And I wish that our listeners would do the same. And you can do that by giving us a follow on social media. You can find me, your boy, Coach Red, on X at The Real Coach Red, on Instagram at The Real _ Coach Red, TikTok at The Real Coach Red. Also, find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and leave a comment or two. Cain, where you at?
Find me over on Twitter, Cain2406. You can find me over on TikTok and Twitch at Cain0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Pause. Do it, freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.